It's about that time. It's time to turn your great idea into a reality with Squarespace. They make it easier than ever to launch your passion project. If you want to showcase your work or if you want to sell products of any kind, they have beautiful templates and the ability to customize just about anything so you can easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. But if you do get stuck, don't worry. Happens to the best of us. Squarespace has 24/7 award-winning customer support that's going to be there to help you out. So head to squarespace.com/grace for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use the offer code GRACE to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Not too deep.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Not Too Deep. I'm your host, Grace Helbig. A very exciting episode awaits you ahead of this introduction for said very exciting episode. We have two returning guests, but they came on initially as individuals, and now they are here together. They're not together, but they're best friends. We have Hazel Hayes and Dodie Clark, authors, artists, entrepreneurs, sensitive souls, bleeding hearts, yoga enthusiasts, yoga dysthusiasts, all of it. We talk about Hazel Hayes' new book, debut novel, Out of Love. We talk about Dodie's secret project coming up in the near to distant future. We talk about their friendship, how they met, how they moved in together, and how they've survived the quarantine together. It's a really lovely episode with two incredibly lovely goblins. Enjoy this episode of Not Too Deep with Hazel Hayes and Dodie Clark.
Not too deep. Not too deep. With Grace Helbig.
Okay, here we go. I am so excited that both of you are back on Not Too Deep and you're together this time. The question I love to ask people that come on together that have been friends or, you know, other situations with each other for a while, I love to hear both of your interpretations of your origin story, like the first time you guys met each other and to see if they're similar or different.
We talked about this the other day. That's so weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's fresh in your mind. So take me through, whoever wants to start, what your viewpoint was of the first time you guys met each other.
You know this story, like you seem to.
I do.
You seem to remember it very
It's a very
vividly,
pivotal
and
point in
it's
my
not
life.
as big for me, which
Okay.
tells me.
I'll tell first because I feel like I think you had a very different impression of what happened. So I met Hazel when I was 18, 17.
Okay.
I was like 17, 18. And she was working at Google at
I'm
the time.
very old. I think we need to open with that because this story makes me feel like an actual dinosaur. Well, I'm 35 and you're 25, so there's a 10-year gap. So at the time, I was like working for Google, like old,
Right.
grown-up adult Google employee.
I had to write a letter to my head of year to let me join in with this sort of course thing that I'd been invited on. So I've been invited on this sort of YouTube course at the Google HQ studios, and I was very excited. Just a young, skippy kid. And Hazel was Hot Hazel, who worked at Google. She was known as Hot Hazel.
Wow.
Yeah. Recipes. Anyway, but she was like this sort of like hot woman who always had her nails painted, always would like walk around in heels and like these awesome beautiful dresses, and everyone would be like, wow, that's Hazel. Anyway, I saw her as this like teacher figure, this like womanly teacher figure. And there was one like session where we all sat down and Hazel was like involved in a circle, and I asked for like some advice on something. I was just convinced that you found me annoying.
I really didn't. She seemed, but a lot of people, I get this from a lot of people who are now friends, where they're like, oh, when we met, I thought you hated me. And I really probably had no opinion on them at all. I know that it just takes me a little while to warm up. That's all.
Which is much better to hear, is I didn't think about you at all in a positive or negative way. I didn't hate you.
You didn't even cross my mind, frankly. Yeah, but that is kind of the case. I sort of just meet people and they're there, they're fine. It's fine.
Right.
I won't remember you unless you really like cross me, to be honest.
Okay. So that's the moment that Dodie kind of met you, it sounds like. Do you remember the moment that Dodie finally crossed your mind and you met her?
You know, this is an actual brain problem for me. I really struggle with facial recognition and remembering people. And I tend not to remember first encounters that well.
So
but
Hazel was
I
Hot
do
Hazel,
remember.
and I was just like,
I remember Dodie as talented musician Dodie. I remember. I maybe just manipulated her a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
Because I was working at YouTube, like sort of headhunting like new vlogger talent.
Right.
So I think she crossed my radar as like, wow, this girl's really good at what she does, and she's got a beautiful voice, and like we should get her in and get her collaborating with other people. So I think it was more of a business mindset that I was seeing her.
Sure.
Was it you who invited me?
Yes.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
Amazing. Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I like
You didn't?
people.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't
Well,
know that. What the heck?
I'm
So you
responsible
did.
kind of for the slow-mo guys, which is weird. And also most of UK
Did you know her and
YouTube.
Vsauce are like
Wow.
best buds?
Michael,
That makes sense. That makes sense. So you've got great taste, it sounds like.
Apparently I do, Grace, because I always thought of you.
Oh. See,
Oh.
now you just,
I am
now you're just
manipulated.
being soft.
Yeah. No, yeah, so that was it. You were cute.
That's very sweet. And also, what an interesting way to meet each other, because Hazel, you're more on the business side of things. Dodie, you're on the creative side of things. And then, Hazel, I think we talked about this on the last podcast, but when did the shift happen when you moved away from like working at the more like business side of Google?
I think there was always that creative side. Like my whole life, I had just loved books and movies and just storytelling in any form. And I was trying to kind of keep it alive. Like through my journalism degree, I was in the drama society and like acting and that kind of thing. And then when I worked at Google, I was taking evening classes in writing. And I think it was that side of me that got me into the job at YouTube, because I started in sales. Like I was in the call center on the phone just having angry men shout at me.
Oh,
Those
that
days,
sounds lovely.
it was honestly the best.
Yeah.
But then I moved into YouTube, and I think a lot of that was because I like kind of got it. Like I got the idea of content creation and wanting to make something and wanting to tell a story. And that's
Mhm.
why I got along with so many of the people who were just starting out doing that. And they taught me a lot. I mean, I'm joking when I say I'm responsible. There was already, you know, Tom Scott and Charlie Sokulike and like so many amazing people in the UK doing really awesome things. And I think, I don't know, maybe I just got it. And then from that, they sort of cast me in a couple of things because they really didn't know very many women, turns out. Funny. And they just sort of needed like female actresses in stuff. And I kind of started to do that and then went, oh, hold on, I really enjoy this. So started my own channel. And then I worked at YouTube for a couple of years whilst doing my own channel, and it made me really good at my job because I would make these board meetings with like corporate people with giving it all that, and it was all revenue and bottom line. And I was like, but you don't know what it feels like to speak to a camera or edit yourself or put that online or get comments back from people or like check views or promote yourself or like put yourself in that kind of, it's quite a vulnerable position. So I think it made me a bit better at my job. And then I just kind of kept doing it, and I started doing short films and comedy sketches and that sort of stuff, and loved it so much that eventually I flew the nest.
Amazing.
And you started doing it.
And so then the cool thing is like you guys go from there, this kind of working relationship, you have like a friendship, and then you have a different type of working relationship. You're directing like her music video for Human, right? Like what's the difference when you guys work on set like that versus like just hanging out with each other? Is there a difference?
I want to explain that I just, good God, the computers had a little meltdown. I just had a little moment because I thought you were going to go, when did it go from like semi-friendship to real friendship? And I remembered when that was. It was like, oh God, we're going to have to talk about that. But we'll come back to that.
Oh, I do remember that.
What's it like working together?
It's awesome. It's so great because we have that foundation of knowing each other so well. And like on Human, like I know Hazel knows me very well, and she knows that she can like push me to a certain extent, but also she's my friend and cares about me, so she's there to hold me at the end.
That's so
imagine
sweet.
we just hung up now and we were like, I hate you.
And
it's very easy to work with
because you know me so well as well. Like you knew what I was trying to say with that song so intricately and so conveyed it so well. Yes, it's awesome. It's great. Similarly, I'm definitely going to write some music for her new book, which is which is hopefully.
I
so
know.
want that to happen.
Well, let's talk about the book, because I feel like, Hazel, last time I actually saw you in person, you were talking about starting to write the book, and
I
like
think I announced it on your podcast.
you
Wow.
might have.
I think
I
that's
feel
the
like,
first time I ever said it.
ooh, I'm getting chills just talking about it.
too.
That's so exciting. Now, one, congratulations. It's out now for everyone to go get. It seems
Where
like
is it?
it's kicking ass right now. Yeah, I have my copy right here.
My friend.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
It's incredible because you kind of there's a lot of, I guess, different ways that you can write books, and you really kind of did this independently at first, right? Like you just decided you
Yeah.
were going to write a book. You're not looking for like people to work with necessarily just yet. Like, what was that process like?
Scary.
I
bit
bet.
scary.
Yeah.
But also, to be honest, I think the thing was I didn't really start like my YouTube career till I was 27.
Mhm.
And then I've been writing the book, like it's kind of the whole process has kind of been the past 3 years. So I'm in my 30s now, and like I'm, fairly grown, and I know myself. And I had been directing sets of, with 70 people on them, and I had been
Jeez.
leading teams at Google. And so I wasn't some like little kid who, I can imagine that would be so daunting for. Like it was daunting for me, but I'm so glad that I had all that other experience going into it. So it wasn't as scary as it might have been. And I think it gave me the courage to not go with a traditional publisher, which I might have been tempted to do, I think, just to kind of feel a bit safer. But I didn't love the direction publishers wanted me to go in with it. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically like a love story. It's told in reverse. So you begin with the breakup, and then it's like little snapshots. Snapshots of their
By
relation.
the time you get to the end, you're broken because you know it's doomed. It's so perfect.
A hype man just built in. So a lot of like the publishers I was meeting with were like, could you tell it chronologically? And did it have a happy ending? And can we put a pink cutesy cover on it? And like, there's nothing wrong with pink cutesy covers or any of that kind of stuff. It's just that's not the story I want to tell. So I went with a crowdfunding publisher called Unbound, who basically they're a platform. So they don't have like the infrastructure of a big publisher. They're independent. They're small, but it's a platform kind of like what's it called, Patreon, where you have a product to sell, and you have all different pledge levels as well. So you could buy the book, or you could buy like also an audio chapter read by me, or this, that, or the other. So we made it quite tailored, and they gave me like complete creative control, but a lot of help. So I had an editor and a designer and all the things that you would have, but ultimately like the book stopped with me, and the book stopped. Shit fun.
Wow.
Cute.
Where to find them?
You can't stop.
Can't stop me.
A writer.
So it was fun and scary, but like in a good way.
And what was it like? Because I'm sure you must have given Dodie like chapters along the way, or anything to read, or did you only get
involved? She didn't see.
She sent me every. Oh my god! I saw her write. I saw her break. She sent me chapters after she'd finished them, and every single time I would just send her a reply of my tear-stained face and just be like, "This is beautiful. This is beautiful." I've been her #1 fan since the very beginning. I sound like
so sweet.
It's almost like she's won some kind of competition to be here.
I've just loved this for so long, and she was so terrified. She was like, what if it isn't as good as, your bias? And I'm like, yeah, but I also have a great taste in art.
Well, the thing is, I feel like you guys can commiserate because you like have bleeding hearts, both of you. If you look at your social media without knowing you, like you put your emotions into everything, and you are very transparent about a lot of things, and that's like very attractive to a lot of people.
Too transparent about things.
Never. But so the feeling before actually it being released to anyone other than your friends must have been insanely terrifying. Like, how did you cope with those kind of feelings?
Ooh, I didn't cope.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't cope that well with it. I'll be honest. She's been. I genuinely cannot stress enough how big a part of this she is, even in terms of like the protagonist's best friend Maya she's not a real person, none of them are, but she's kind of an amalgamation of like the friends I've had over the years, and Dodie is a huge part of her. So every time someone leaves me a comment being like, everyone needs a Maya, she's so lovely, I'm like, yeah, it's basically Like a lot of that is her. Like the way that
that's
they
sweet.
interact is very much like us. And even like some like specific little details that made it in, like that's a lot of it is quite Dodie. So she's been amazing. And then when it came to like, so the writing process, if anything, the launch was nothing compared to the writing process, which she sort of held me by the hand, as did like several other friends as well. I have to say a lot of people were like so supportive and they get a lot of credit for it. But when it came to the launch, I was bricking it, we would say back home. Bricking it.
Bricking it. Like ripping out a big brick.
Got it.
Shitting it, basically.
Got it.
Yeah, because it's so scary. It's so personal. It's more personal than anything else. And I've written quite a lot, but it's more personal than anything else I've ever written.
It was weird for me because I've known this story for so long, like years.
Right.
And then for other people, like I remember doing the live stream and someone was commenting being like, oh, Jocelyn, blah blah blah, and I'm like, you know about that? to like see people read this story and like finally be in that same world as me. It was really strange. So part of me was like, no, and part of me was like, yes.
Yeah. Well, it must feel like it's the extra layer of vulnerability that all of a sudden, like, even though this is a fictitious world you've created, it's based in so much of your real experiences that there is so much of you in it for people to see that you're like, are they smart enough to read between the lines? And people are.
No, they are.
Keep it to themselves.
And I keep saying this, but like it is fiction and the events are fictitious, but what I always say is like the feeling behind it is real. So if I'm trying to convey a way that I've felt or been made to feel in the past through this character, then I'm sort of having her go through things that lead to that same emotion happening, but they're not necessarily the same things I went through, but the feeling is definitely real. And like, and the reason she's been so amazing is because you get that, like, you know, in her music, it's so raw and you put so much of yourself into it. So like she understood when the book was coming out, she fully understood that's like an album launch. And oh God, people are going to hear my soul.
I mean, and on top of that, just like the actual state of the world that's happening right now while you're launching a book, thank God you guys had each other to like be there for each other doing it, because I mean, I saw you tweeting too, like how you've been working on this forever and you're proud of it and you want to celebrate it, but it also feels like an inconvenient moment in history to celebrate it. Like, where do you find the joy in being able to promote and all of that? And also, I think you've done it like amazingly well. I give you so much credit for navigating this because it's so wildly difficult right now and you guys are very coolly outspoken about a lot of like social issues on your social media, which I think is very cool. So that must have been insane to balance that.
Yeah, I think it was mostly just about not wanting to be insensitive.
Right.
Like, this just isn't my time right now. Like BLM happened literally the week ramping up to the launch that I had, you know, been waiting a long time for and been very excited for. And like you say, years of work went into it. Lots of people helped. And I wanted to celebrate that, but it felt a little bit like, shush, Hazel, your voice is not the voice that matters right now. And give other people a platform to speak and just be quiet and give that space to kind of blossom. And yeah, it was a weird time because also, you know, there's the global stuff going on, and then there's the micro stuff in your own personal life as well, and it matters to me. This book matters to me and to the people who helped. The other thing is, like, it was crowdfunded, so it's full of names of people who contributed and helped make it possible. So I wanted to celebrate all that. So it was, I think I just sat with it for a couple of days. Like I really sort of sat and felt it for a few days and looked at as much stuff as I could and read as much and educated myself as much as I could. And Dodie was doing the same. We were just kind of in different rooms, just trying to consume as much as we could. You were watching documentaries and I was on the internet a lot. And ultimately I put up a black square one day because like everyone was doing it, and then it suddenly just felt really wrong, and I took it back down. I had a real good long think and a look at myself and my behavior online, and what I realized was I had been so busy trying to champion women. Like that's always been my cause, is sexism and equal rights for women. So I've been so busy like promoting authors, directors, poets, artists who are female, that I didn't stop to think like, holy crap, 95% of these women are white. That's not good enough. That's just not good enough. I need to do better. So the way that I felt I could incorporate it like in a genuine way into what I do is that since this has started to happen, I've been filling my feed with the voices of women of color.
I think what you did was you took it as like gratitude almost. Like it was never really, it was never a problem. It was like, this is interesting to have happened at that same time. But this instead of sort of like worrying and shutting down, you took it as a grateful challenge and sort of stepped up and spoke even louder for voices that needed to be heard as well at the same time.
I think you did a really, really wonderful job. And as we're all trying to do the best that we can with everything right now, I think it's also great to have a piece of fiction that allows people to kind of, you know, step away from the world for a second. Like you're not
into misery and pain.
yeah, exactly. Come on this roller coaster. You'll cry a little bit more too. Okay, last question about the book. Why do you want people to read this?
Why do I want people to read it? She's just gonna hold it up here. Well, firstly, if you read it, I make money, which is great. It's my job to sell books. No, the funny thing about the book was like, this is gonna sound really wanky, but like I didn't write it to be read necessarily. Like I wrote it for me, and a lot of people have said to me in the aftermath, was that really cathartic for you? Like, was that therapeutic? And it has been. It's really changed my outlook on a lot of things, and it's helped me look back more fondly on relationships where I was still carrying that kind of that kind of just that thing that gets you, like that's opened up a little, and it just doesn't feel as painful anymore. It's softened that. So the journey for me is kind of done. I'm kind of happy. I'm like,
I know why I want people to read the book. I want people to read the book because it shows the complexities of a real relationship. I think you said this once, but like a lot of people, when they hear about a breakup, they're like, how did it end? Like, what was the sole reason? And this book shows that it's just not anywhere near like that. There are so many little things, like not only that, but like from generations of like being brought up by someone. Like you'll read about like, you know, the Theo's mother, etc. And so yeah, it's like little bits and bobs that all build up to this thing. And also like how, although it's written from the narrator's viewpoint, like you kind of recognize her as biased, and her voice is like, you can't really trust her either because she's seen to do some sort of like dodgy things as well. It's just sort of like a collection of moments that end up to it not working out. And I think there's something beautiful and so real about that, and everyone should read it to understand complexity.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
The other thing I'll add before we move on, that I think what I've been hearing a lot of from people is that it depicts mental health in a very real way for them. And I think part of what I was so scared of, like you were talking about right before the launch, like, oh God, people are going to read it, was those topics. Like it touches on sexuality, identity, trauma, abuse, mental health. And it was like, am I representing people well and in a sensitive way? And I struggle with reading material or watching material that triggers me. So I wanted to be able to talk about those things in a way that wouldn't be triggering for someone, but that they could hopefully glean a little insight into it. So either they're going through it and it helps them feel seen, or they never have been through it, but it helps them maybe understand a friend or a loved one, or just, you know, what a lot of people go through. So I think that's kind of been the nicest thing. And I guess the reason I would say to read it, if you're curious about that kind of stuff, it's not about that, but it comes up for the protagonist quite a lot. And I hope I've kind of told it in a real way and told their story in a way that, like Dodie says, like it's not like why'd you break up? Oh, well, he cheated, or she ran over my puppy with her car. Like you rarely have this one thing. It's years and years, and as you say, generational stuff of like how you were brought up and what your parents went through, and all of that you two people are bringing, and it either works or it doesn't work.
Yeah. Ooh, it looks at the human condition in a really complex way. I love that. I love the idea of like understanding why we do things based on our upbringing and based on like our family and nature versus nurture and all that fun stuff. Ooh, that's very exciting. Okay. We're going to take one quick break. When we get back, I got to find out what it's like with you two living together. I want to know all about it. We'll be right back with more Not Too Deep.
Not too deep. With Grace Helbig.
Ding, 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 ding. That's my impression of an alarm because time's up. It's about time to turn that dream of yours into reality, and Squarespace is going to help you do it. They make it easier than ever to launch your passion project. We're all trying out new things as best as we can in the times that we have been dealt currently. Do you want to start a new business? Do you want to showcase your work? Do you want to publish content? Do you want to sell products or more? Squarespace is the tool for you. They have beautiful templates created by world-class designers and the ability to customize just about anything with a few clicks, so you can easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. They have powerful e-commerce functionality that lets you sell anything online and analytics that help you grow your site in real time. And everything is optimized for mobile right out of the box. You don't even have to think about it. There's nothing to patch or upgrade ever. And buying domains is simple, and you can get all the help you need with their 24/7 award-winning customer support. They empower millions of people, designers, lawyers, artists, gamers, restaurants, gyms, everyone. They're helping turn great ideas into something real. So head to squarespace.com/grace for a free trial. And when you are ready to launch, use the offer code GRACE to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/grace. Offer code GRACE. Okay, let's talk about the two of you. You live together. You occasionally work together. How long have you guys lived together?
4-ish years.
Yeah. There's been bits and bobs where we haven't, but overall it's been about that.
Was it one of you that like kind of proposed to the other one the idea of living together?
I think that's on camera somewhere. I think when
Yeah,
I was filming a series called Time of the Month, which was like a monthly vlog series back in like, what was it, 2015?
Yeah.
16?
Yeah.
And there's like a New Year's Eve party where we're just hammered and we're just lying on the ground in this like fairy like cocoon.
And it's like pink, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Do you want to live with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Yeah.
And we just did. And that was it. It was
Amazing.
very easy.
And what is the strangest thing about the other one with living together? If there is a strange hobby, a strange little like
So many.
Okay, Hazel likes the dishwasher stacked a very particular way, very particular, and
Okay.
like sometimes it's funny, like if I get it wrong, and sometimes it genuinely bothers me because I'm like, listen, I'm trying my best, okay. What else? Oh, when Hazel cleans, she sort of puts all of her stuff in very neat piles, but she never puts it away. It's just sort of like
Organized
pile-
chaos.
No, that's me too. I call my house, this is a piles house. It's a piles household.
Yeah.
Everything, it looks from the naked eye like a fucking mess, but I know exactly where
You
everything
know what's in
is.
files. See?
Yeah.
She knows. I don't know about your weird things.
really.
It's almost like you have so many.
You said something the other day. I was weird about.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say that on the.
What was that about? Oh.
You know? Got it. We can skip over.
No, let me think. There's got to be something.
You have a lot of idiosyncrasies. Like you have a lot of quirks as a human. So to just pick out one, it's almost like it just seems it is her. The collection of strange little things makes up
Right.
Dodie. So
So
to
maybe-
pick out any one almost feels odd. But we do have a character named Goblin Dodie.
Yes.
to-
Okay. I want to, tell me about this.
Look, Goblin Dodie is a version of Dodie who enjoys mac and cheese.
I do.
And
I'll eat it out of the pot.
her posture is not good, and she sort of skulks about the house, always in hunt on the hunt for food, and if you have food and she hears the rustling of like a crisp packet or anything, she's in there and she's almost claw-like, she's a bit hunched. She just turns into this character sometimes, and I will find her like often over her laptop as well. She'll have one knee up here and be like hunched over the laptop, like, and you come in and it's almost like you've let light into the room for the first time in weeks. Yeah, so that's
like
this
character
is,
George.
This is an unintentional character. This just kind of takes you over occasionally.
Yeah. She never means to be Goblin Dodie. Just every once in a while
it shows up.
Everyone has a goblin.
Has
There's a goblin Grace.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah. For
yeah.
sure. Yeah. I
What's
call
Goblin
myself
Grace
a little
like?
I'm like a little raccoon. If I smoke a little too much weed, it's just like all of a sudden my boyfriend finds me just in the pantry, like touching all of the snacks, just being like taking way too long to decide on something that he knows I already know in my mind what I want, but I just want to see what else is there.
Yeah. Those are important decisions.
Exactly. Is there a Goblin Hazel?
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
is there an alter ego that Hazel has that's akin to Goblin Dodie?
Not really sure.
I definitely have slob days. Like, I say slob day. My life is slob day.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I put on a dress and some makeup.
That is
and
absolutely true.
Yeah.
I get dressed mostly every day. Hazel does not.
I don't get dressed.
No. I appreciate
your hair's
it
always
today.
in this bun.
My hair's in this horrible scraped back bun and like no makeup and just a strange assortment of pajamas
Probably
that
like
don't
a
match.
Star Wars top.
And then a
like
blanket around it and socks and slippers.
You lie out on your bed like so long.
Very long. A laptop here. Yeah, that's my general day-to-day existence. Occasionally I'll get on the yoga mat and take some photos for Instagram and make it look like I do things, but I don't do things.
Oh yeah. Are you guys both into yoga?
I am now.
Dodie's getting there.
Okay. How's that? Yeah, I've seen Hazel, your photos on Instagram. It's very impressive to me. I'm not a yoga person, but it looks cool. Dodie, you've started your yoga journey?
I have, yes.
Okay. And how's it going?
I get really pissed off about it because sometimes like we do Adrian, obviously yoga with Adrian. She's just the one, isn't she? She's the best.
Okay.
And she just sort of like does these things. She'll like relax in these positions where she's just like chatting away, like maybe like this huge lunge, and she's like, and if you want, you can like do this, maybe do this. It's kind of like this thing that happened, and I'm like sweating, like shaking, like please. That pisses me off sometimes, but
which is exactly.
I've never seen anyone else get angry during yoga. Like
I was gonna say,
my leg doesn't bend that way.
So we don't do yoga together anymore. No. We began with me trying to get her to do it with me, and then a few sessions in, I was like, "Would you mind if when I do it, I actually do it myself?" Because it's quite an important quality me time in my day, and I felt bad asking that. But
you said the other day at the station thing where you were like, okay, we're very honest with each other. We'll just say what's out of mind. And Hazel was like, we were talking about yoga, and then there was a bit of silence, and then Hazel was like, I recognize there's a part of me that wants to be mad that you also enjoy yoga, because then I'm like, what's my thing? That's my thing. But I know that's so stupid. And I was like, I get it.
I forced this shit. Literally, as we're talking, I just noticed I forced this shit on her. She's got A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle and When We Fall Apart by Pima Chodron, who is a Buddhist monk, a female Buddhist monk. And I make her read this stuff and hear about, and I talk to her constantly about the podcast I'm listening to and my crazy spiritual journey. And she puts up with it. And that's because most people.
That's really sweet. I mean, because of quarantine, I'm sure you guys have had to spend more time together than you've possibly ever spent consistently together. And the fact that you're in this high spirits, whether it's fake or not, seems pretty good.
It's not fake. It's just short-lived. We can do this in bursts.
I love it. I am someone who needs people all the time. Like I like being on tour is the best part of my life because it's just constant people. You wake up with people, you go to breakfast with people, you sound check with people, you play with people, you go to bed with people. It's just like constant people everywhere. And
that sounds like a nightmare to me.
I'm always around Hazel. I'm like, hey.
She slinks into my room. I'll look up and she'll be in the door frame like,
like this. She'll be like, What do you
What
want?
do you want now? Go away. Yeah, I struggle. I've recently learned that I'm a very outgoing introvert. So I think my whole life I thought I was an extrovert, and I'm like, I'll talk to the wall, but also I'm Irish. You can drop me in the middle of any group. I'll just start talking to people.
Sure.
But like, yeah, I've recently learned that I very much get my energy alone.
So I'll go
And
for walks.
she goes for
I
walks.
go visit people safely.
That's good.
She tries to give me space,
See-
bless her heart.
That's respectful. Dodie, what's going on with music for you right now? Are there plans in the future to tour again? Is that hard, impossible to predict at this point?
There are plans. There are actually a
Okay.
bunch of plans.
Okay.
One's a backup in case the US doesn't sort its shit
I'm
out.
just gonna launch you into space.
It doesn't. Yeah. On behalf of the United States, I'm sorry. It doesn't look like we're getting our shit together anytime
I'm
soon.
so sorry for you.
Sucks.
Yeah,
It's
so we
miserable.
will see. Music wise, I mean, I keep saying it everywhere, but I'm straight up just sitting on a huge thing. That I
Well-
wish I could just release into the wild.
This sounds like the worst euphemism.
Sitting on a huge thing. I'm sitting on a huge thing, if you know what I mean.
Dodie's new secret project, which may
Uh-huh.
or may not be an album, I couldn't possibly say,
Impossible to tell.
stunning. I have
Oh.
experienced it. I won't even say through what sensory medium,
Uh-huh.
but I have experienced it, and it is so beautiful, so painfully, gorgeously beautiful.
It is really
that
good,
it brings
thank
me
you.
to tears every time I experience it, and I want
Ah.
it to be unleashed on the world so that you can have it too, but it won't.
That's
be that.
so exciting. Is there a time frame in which this might be released, or is that's still up in the air?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, no further questions.
It's not too far. To be like, okay, let's just say
Uh-huh.
if it zoomed by as fast as the beginning of this year did, and now that we're in July did,
Right.
then it'll be no
Oof.
time at all.
It'll be
Okay.
out before America's got her shit together.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I can't
would
wait.
say.
Have you guys felt, because like you've been stuck inside, right? And I've been looking at your Instagrams today, and they're curated beautifully. Does it feel a little bit like a return to like old kind of YouTube stuff, or old like social media stuff, of like just having to only be inside, to only be in your space and trying to make the best of it?
Oh,
That
interesting.
is really interesting. What do you think? Do you want a sec to think, or are you?
Let me think.
Or maybe this has been kind of what you've been doing the whole time, and so it doesn't feel that far off from.
Yeah, I guess for me, like I've been so busy, like like I just had like back-to-back things, and I never really had time to sit down and write and make anything. But when quarantine happened, I had like these months of time, so I started this
Yeah.
project called Alosia, where I would like write a song. I'd say it was called
Most
Alosia
days.
because it was called A Lot of Songs in April. Very vague, no promises made. But I ended up like writing like 6-7 songs and like putting them
Wow.
up. And people were like, wow, it feels like the old days when you actually used to make videos. I was like, I know.
And they were brilliant.
Yeah.
They were really good.
They're
thank
really
you.
good.
Yeah.
Every one of them. They weren't even just throwaway. They were like genuinely good.
Oh, thank
I
you.
stupidly got more ambitious. I started a YouTube series called Dodie, which was a video every day in self-isolation. Little did I know
Oh.
self-isolation would be, 600 days later. So I think I managed about 20 days. And then
Nice.
actually a lovely thing happened. It was because the option for the rights to the series of the book, Jesus, I've worded that so badly. A production company bought the rights to the book to potentially make into a TV series.
So
And
amazing.
I was tasked with writing the pilot script. So I explained this to the lovely people on YouTube. And what's nice is like our audiences are just so cool. They haven't minded at all what it's been. Like we've been figuring it out for a couple months, and like sometimes there's content, sometimes there's not. Like you said, you did a bunch of songs and then you kind of took a step back. I did all those videos and I explained like I'm going to need to not, but then there was a big book launch. So yeah, they've just been really, really lovely. And it hasn't felt like there's been any pressure to post necessarily,
That's
but
great.
I also feel like people are so grateful when you do.
Mm.
Like they're just like, thank you for entertaining and spreading some self-love.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all burning through so much content, so much more quickly than I think we would normally. So
Yeah.
everything is appreciated, which
Mhm.
is very cool. Okay, if Okay, this is for each of you to answer about the other.
Oh, God.
If you were care packages, what would that care package look like?
Wait, to give to the other person?
Or if we
So
were a
if you were a care package, so if Dodie was a care package, like what would that look like? If someone was given a Dodie care package, like what would that have inside of it?
Wow. Oh my God.
And if Hazel was a care package, what would
I
that
just
look
saw
like?
my own face and it was horrified.
Horrified.
I was like, I have to answer this. There's so much.
Okay.
See, I want to go away and think about it and jot down some notes and like write something really beautiful and come back. And I can't.
now.
So it's happening
Okay,
now.
I'll
Okay.
think. Okay. I think
It's it's kind of like a starter pack, right?
I know what Hazel is. Hazel is like low lighting, low noise, like
Uh-huh.
hushed tones, like oils burning, like soft bed sheets, and like
Okay.
meditation and calming phrases. Let me think, what else? And also like, I don't know. Oh, good tea, like well
Okay.
brewed.
Well brewed
Well
tea.
brewed
That's
tea.
the nicest thing anyone's ever said. There. You're like a well brewed tea.
Yeah.
True. You are well
love it.
brewed, slightly sugared, lots of milk.
Nice.
Yeah,
you.
I would say you're just very calming. You're also a big hug. You're a big hug.
That's really sweet.
Yes.
Aw.
All day, actually, I was going to come in and ask you for one.
I was going to
earlier,
ask you
but I
one after therapy.
thought, oh my
but
God. We'll hug after. We'll have a hug. Sometimes we have a little cuddle and it's nice.
We do.
That's
We
sweet.
get on the bed and we spoon and then we swap over and we spoon.
I mean, equal opportunity spooning.
I'm all for it.
Right, you're stalling. What's my care package? Who am
I am stalling. She knows me so well. Dodie is lightness.
Lightness.
Yeah, in an otherwise like heavy, oppressive atmosphere. When I'm like catastrophizing, Dodie can come in and just lighten something. It's almost like she turns on a switch. I'm supposed to be making these into real objects in a care package.
It's okay. It can be amorphous. It can be descriptive. That's okay.
She's like a really good giggle.
Aww.
She's like a really, really good, like proper belly laugh that kind of hurts your ribs, and you end up like wiping away tears after, and you can't remember what the problem was before because you've just been laughing so hard for so long.
Oh, that's great.
That's what you're like. And also like a cat that sort of crawls up on your laptop on you while you're trying to work and just wants like love. And you love the cat, but sometimes you want it to not be on your laptop. But then when it's there, you're like, oh, you.
Yeah.
Oh, you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's very sweet. Those are, you definitely can't put a cat in a care package, but I think those were really beautifully described
It'd
care
be like
packages.
Schrodinger's care package, and I would worry for the cat safety, but yeah.
We're going to take one last break. When we get back, I have a bunch of Twitter questions for you ladies. So we'll be right back with more Not Too Deep.
Not too deep with Grace Helbig.
Okay, before we get into these Twitter questions, I'm going to ask you ladies the two questions I ask every single guest that's on the podcast. I believe you've answered these before. I have no idea what your answers were. Yeah, I'm just going to assume they're going to be different. But the first question is, who, alive or dead, would you most want to throw cold spaghetti at?
Oh yeah, I remember this.
My answer is the same as it was last time.
It's not Donald Trump, is it?
I actually didn't say Trump because I felt like that was like too obvious. So I said Betty what was her name? Betty DeVos, the
Oh yeah,
horrible education woman.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
yes.
I know who mine would be.
Betsy DeVos or something.
That's how much impact you've had on my life, Betsy. But yeah, it's the similar. If there were a collective sort of evil Republican face,
yeah,
that
one.
Mine would be Katie Hopkins. She's just this
good one.
awful woman
Horrid.
who just says anything bad, literally anything. And I'm sure she'll change her mind on whatever you think is good. She'll just say the bad thing. She's just the worst person alive, and I'm not sure if she'll ever change, but I sure would like to see some cold spaghetti in her horrible face.
Yeah, that sounds like necessary. That's so frustrating and so confusing to me when people are like that. It takes so much energy to be that way. Like it seems
does.
exhausting.
It seems like it takes more effort than to just not.
Yeah, than to just
somehow
not.
convinced herself that like there's value in the attention of being evil. So
Yeah.
fine.
Ugh.
Horrid.
Well, on a lighter note, the other question that every guest gets asked is to tell us your worst pants shitting story, or like a bathroom close call, but you can only use 3 words or 3 small phrases or a combination. So mine, for example, is college, jogging, front lawn.
I remember you saying that last time and thinking that's way better than what I'm going to come up with.
No,
it's
you can
still
come up with
true.
it. It can be a close
I've never
call.
pooped
It can
my
be.
pants.
I've never pooped my pants.
But
You-
I do
it
have a
doesn't-
good story. But let me
Okay.
try and okay.
See if you can.
Okay. Okay. Celebrity.
Okay.
Recording. Obvious.
Oh no.
Not that obvious.
I don't know whether I'm allowed to.
I definitely
expand.
I know the story because I know everything. So afterwards, you're gonna be like, it was that time, and I'll be like, oh.
Yeah, let's keep it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I missed it, but we
Yeah.
can keep it in mystery.
I
Okay,
actually I don't have one, but can I do one from a friend?
Of course, yeah,
Allowed?
sure.
You're gonna know
Yeah.
who this is.
Go on.
Okay, summer,
Uh-huh.
top shop, skirt.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
Yes.
Oh
Yes, you do,
no.
wonderful.
You
Oh,
wonderful,
God.
wonderful woman.
It really is an awful story.
It's
Poor girl.
all of the any story that you're telling on behalf of a friend shitting their pants has to be terrible.
And I remembered it. It's vivid.
I'll never get that out of my
No,
mind.
it's in there.
That is my worst nightmare. It's literally
It's your
the
worst.
worst
Whatever the
nightmare.
worst shitting story is, it's that one.
Did you say tights?
I said skirt. I forgot the
Oh.
tights.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It gets worse.
That's so much better.
Okay, let's get into these Twitter questions. I have a bunch for you, ladies.
I saw a couple last night, and I was like tempted to just start doing a Q&A.
I know.
I know you guys.
Someone
You
today was
guys-
like, sorry to spoil it, but you're not supposed to answer them here. And I'm like, I know.
I know. I went through this morning. I was like, so they're just straight up answering them on Twitter. What am I supposed to ask?
We'll do it again.
No,
We'll
it's
pretend
great.
it's the first time.
Oh, it's all good. Okay, if you had to exist in either wet socks or constantly damp hair for the rest of your life, which would you choose?
Constantly damp hair.
Hair.
Damp hair? Yeah,
It could be
yeah,
bristled, you know? It could be a
Yeah.
look.
Get this one.
yeah. You look like a Kardashian, just constantly a little damp hair.
Although I worry it would look a bit greasy, but I'd just be like, oh, I've just come out of the shower. I'm just so clean.
Yeah, people be like, she loves to shower. Every time I see
She
her,
just
her hair
loves
is
it.
wet.
I just thought about my feet being in wet socks all the time. It
That
actually made me
would be
feel
awful. That would be
Terrible.
awful. Anything.
so on it.
Anything other
Terrible.
than that.
Someone wants to know most fun quarantine activity.
It's not saying a lot, is it?
Yeah. So you guys like fun or
I don't know that we do like
I'm just going to
fun.
say, this is boring, but writing. I like writing
Oh, God,
music.
that's so boring.
Okay, fine.
Fun.
Decorating my wall with IKEA flowers.
She's been decorating a lot. You
Cute.
wouldn't hear that.
Yes, I have. Decorating. Like redoing things and like
Yeah.
planning rooms and stuff. I
that's
love
a
that.
great activity.
Oh my god, binge watching the Sorry Girls on YouTube. Oh, I love them
We
so
binge
much.
watched a lot of kind of crap
Oh,
series, which has been fun. We
Sorry
watched
Girls,
Tiger
not crap
King.
series, but yes, we
We
did.
did
watch-
Oh,
Tiger
Tiger
King. We
King.
did the second series of Dead to Me in like a day.
Oh my god, literal day.
A mess, a hot mess, but we loved it.
nice.
I've enjoyed getting dolled up and having cocktail evenings. We haven't done that in a while.
We should do
Oh,
We
that.
should
yeah.
do that. Just getting dolled
Yeah.
up for no reason and just going to your balcony, getting drunk,
Taking loads of pictures.
having a night out, taking a lot of photos
No,
for Instagram,
That's
and
what
then
made
just go to
me.
bed.
That's what made me think that London had opened back up again because it looked like you guys were actually going out.
Wow.
It's like,
No,
No,
they
that's,
fooled
that's
me.
just here.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go out on the roof terrace.
Nice.
Such
That's a
wankers.
great idea.
We are very, very, very lucky that there's a big roof terrace in this building and everybody shares it, but not
It's
many people
luckily on
go
our
out
floor.
there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm so shocked by how few people are out there. So I can go out there, like, we've exercised, I do yoga out there. You can just sit out
Nice.
and read. So yeah, it's like we don't have a garden, so it's been really nice to do that.
That's so wonderful to have that. Someone wants to know, what is the dumbest thing you have argued or just had a disagreement over?
The freezer. Although actually, that's probably the most intelligent thing we've had a disagreement over.
Oh, about the. It's a really. Well, I was okay. If you put ice cubes, if you fill up a whole ice cube tray and put it in the freezer, is that going to take longer to freeze than like one ice cube? Like one?
Oh, I don't know, but that seems like a Vsauce question.
We did tweet Vsauce and Hank,
Oh, you did?
and
They told me I was wrong.
she was wrong. I was wrong. It takes longer to freeze more stuff.
That wasn't really an argument.
It wasn't. It was.
Have we had an
It was a
argument?
debate. We don't really argue.
Mostly just about cleaning before.
Yeah. We don't really argue.
No.
That's good. That's
TBH.
good.
Sometimes
Well-
one of us gets pissy about something and then we sort of cry it out.
Yeah.
And that's
But
it.
it feels like you guys are just honest with each other in real time so that arguments
Yeah.
don't brew. That seems to be the
It's
key.
incredible. It's almost like open, honest communication is the key to any good relationship. And someone should tell people this.
Yeah.
Because I feel
As
like
a-
they don't know.
I feel like a lot of people are confused on that or don't believe that that's true.
I just don't believe. I cannot imagine doing this with any of my former romantic partners. I mean, obviously they're former for a reason, but
Yeah.
like the idea, like I can't imagine doing this with most humans, to be honest. But Dodie and I we have it
works.
down somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God.
That's great. Okay, what's the best movie you've seen during quarantine? If there's one.
Uh,
I know what I'm gonna say.
I saw Portrait of a Lady on Fire right before
This bitch.
quarantine. It was like the
We
last thing I
went
saw.
to see it together.
Yes.
Like 2 days before we quarantined.
I don't know if this counts because
Oh.
I'm gonna
in
say
quarantine.
because it needs to be watched by everybody
it's
in the
gay,
whole world.
French, gothic.
Gothic romance,
Oh.
beautiful.
Whoa.
Oh, it's just the most
Oh,
gorgeous love
so
story
good.
between these two women, and it's like slightly overwrought in the best possible way. And it's female director, female DOP, and it's beautiful, and every single frame looks like an oil
Cool.
painting. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Ooh, good to know. And a good recommendation.
Mhm.
Okay, here's a little bit more serious of a question. Do you feel restricted by your image? For instance, Dodie as a cutesy, happy ukulele gal, and Hazel being wine mom with dark humor.
100 and a million, 10 billion% yes, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. My whole life is so large.
Hmm.
That's the cold open. You got it.
Please don't quote me on that. My whole life is so
I feel like that's like the opening scene to your documentary about you.
Yep, there we go.
Cue music.
Yeah,
Shots of Dodie out backstage, heading to the stage.
My whole life is so
My whole life is so large.
But no, I get that like you are
Cue spinning tip.
Yeah.
But I get that you're complex human beings and
So
like
complex. I'm
and on
also-
the internet it's hard to like make
can
sure
be a
people know
real-
that.
I can be a real piece of shit, and like it's hard when I know that, and people are like, "You're a perfect angel," and I'm like, "Please stop that." Because I'm not. And every time I read that, I just feel worse, which is not very nice. And obviously, like, it's a very nice
Yeah.
thing to say, but like, I almost want to like type back and be like, "You don't know me," but
List all the things.
Yeah,
It's true.
exactly. I've written that down. I've written like this
Yeah.
whole list of shit I've done. Just
But that's
you know.
also you don't owe that to the world. And like I'm watching her go through this a lot of the time, and it's difficult because I know what it's like to have demons from your past or have things like
Mhm.
moments you regret, things you feel guilty for, things you wish had gone a different way or you feel at fault for, and to the process, the journey that you go on to like forgive yourself for those things and make friends with yourself. And I'm not even she hasn't killed anybody.
No.
I'm like that kind of thing.
Like, what
Anything like
has-
that bad? But it's just stuff that to you is important about. And I watch her get told she's an angel all day, every day, and it like kind of hinders you on that journey to figuring yourself out, because she almost feels like I have to tell everybody that I'm not perfect. It's like, you really don't. They should just know that you're complex, because people are, and people fuck up, and that's okay, because that's how we learn. But it's a lot for you.
I also like, every time someone expects me to like something because it fits into my character, I want to reply and be like, actually no, I hate it, I like this big dark thing, you know.
They just send me pictures of dogs and I like them, so I'm fine.
I think this is more of an internal struggle than it is anyone else's problem.
But it is hard, right? Because I'm wildly fascinated right now about everyone that's been doing stuff on the internet for, you know, years and years and years, like how it's affected all of us in different ways. And I think it has deeply affected all of us in different ways. And it's, so I feel you on that power struggle of like feeling like you want to tell everyone exactly who you are in the rawest way possible, but then also feeling like you don't owe that information to everyone.
Yeah, for sure. It's a constant, it's so confusing. I'm actually going through therapy about it now. It's just like knowing what is mine to keep, but also kind of trying to combat the guilt of seemingly owing that to people. It's so confusing. And I think what's weird is, like, I grew up as a fan. Like, I was a kid when in like the early YouTube days, and I just watched all of these people and put them on this insane pedestal. It wasn't even a pedestal, they just lived in this dream world, and I couldn't even imagine them as human characters outside of the video. And I would say that I did, but I really didn't. So it's interesting knowing that and now living through it. And but
you're also just young. It's kind of that thing you get, like, as you grow up, everyone realizes that their parents are human. Like, you have that moment where you go, oh, you did some shit, you know, like you fucked up a bit there, and it's hard to get your head around that. And they're kind of similar in that they're people you grew up idolizing and seeing as sort of, you know, guardian type people in your life you could look up to and trust, and they do no wrong. I'm lucky that I'm old enough that didn't really happen. I didn't have the internet as such. So, like, I had the internet, but not social media the way that we do now. So, like, I couldn't interact with the cast of Buffy or Star Trek or whatever. Like, when I was a teenager, I just saw the characters and that was it. I'm kind of thankful for that, because I see you go through it now, and it's like, I can't imagine. I see my nieces going through this now, and one of them is like on TikTok now, and she's great. She's actually so funny, but she's talking about, like, I'm gonna be a TikToker, and I'm like, no, you're fucking not. You're gonna go to school, Missy, and you're gonna learn some things. And then if you want to think about maybe that when you're 20, you can. But it's scary. It's kind of scary.
It's very scary. It's fascinating and scary, and I don't know what, like, the right thing to do is, because it's also individualized, you know. The only thing I've tried to do is, like, remove myself from the internet when it doesn't feel right.
That's you're kind of going through it at the moment, Grace. Have you been finding this during lockdown? Is it like a lot for you?
No, I'm just thinking, like, you know, I've talked to a lot of people about different career paths, different pivoting, figuring out different things, and also just, like, every day opening Twitter and watching the world burn in so many ways, and watching, like, macro stuff and micro, like, YouTube platform stuff happen at the same time. It's just like, I just consider myself that Homer Simpson gif of him just, like, walking back into the bush.
I think that's honestly, it's part of why I've had such an emphasis on self-care, like, in my own life, and then by extension that's bleeding onto everything I'm doing online and in the book a little bit. But, like, I kind of, like I say, I'm that bit older and more mature, so I've kind of gone through my shit a bit, and I spent a couple years doing some very heavy processing in therapy. So I've come out the other side of it now a bit stronger in myself, and having all these tools and techniques to take care of myself when shit does hit the fan. So I feel like I'm that little bit more able to kind of contend with it, or just close Twitter and, you know, not go there today. Or like, I'm reading so much, like, I'm joking about these books, but, like, honestly, reading about Buddhism and consciousness and awareness, and listening to, like, Russell Brand's podcasts and all that kind of stuff really helps you to kind of just disengage sometimes and be like, this stuff is important, but also you need to reserve your energy to fight the good fight. And it's okay to take a step back from that sometimes and look after yourself. It's really important that people know that right now, I think.
100%. Well, I think that's a great note to end this episode of Not Too Deep. But before you ladies go, usually when we do this in person, we give our guests a personalized fortune cookie from us to them because they've made time for us. But now we're doing virtual fortune cookies. So I believe Melissa has sent yours to an email.
Look at them together. I'm so sad this is ending. Okay, this is our collective fortune cookie.
Yes,
This is one.
yes.
Okay, you ready? Do you want me to go? Okay. Pegasus Boobs certainly has a nice ring to it, and maybe a great title to a sequel, perhaps.
Perhaps.
That's the perfect fortune cookie. I'm so happy about that.
Should we explain it or not?
I don't know.
If you'd
want
like
an
to explain
explanation?
it, you can.
Okay, basically, I was trying to figure out how to top up the heating, and Hazel sent all the info on the text message. But like, I was like, okay, we need like a word that I can like easily search for the next time I need to find this information. And Hazel was like, boobs. I was like, no.
We say boobs way too much.
Way too much. I found that like it would be buried. And then she was like, Pegasus, and I was like, I don't know how to spell that. So I was like typing Pegasus, and then Hazel just put boobs. It just looks like we're going slowly mad.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And then also knowing that you guys live together and have those same kind of text exchange is very, very funny.
Usually when we're in the same room, that's my favorite thing. Like most of the text conversations that I post online that we've had are when we're on opposite ends of the sofa to each other.
And we're just giggling.
And we're just on Twitter, just like giggling.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, for everyone that doesn't know, where can people find you, find the book, find possibly new music, and everything else that you're up to?
My name's Dodie, Dodie, and you can find me pretty much anywhere by typing that in or Doddle Oddle, but that's really outdated now. I'm 25 years old.
Yeah, we all chose some bad names for some stuff way back when.
Uh-huh.
I am Hazel, Hazel or Zel, depending what way you want to do that. Hazel Hayes, and my book is called Out of Love. So if you Google that, you should be able to find it on Book Depository or Amazon or various places. Also, bookshop.org, actually, they help support local bookshops. So if you buy a book there, they then contribute a percentage of the charity to lots of different local bookshops. So that's a good one too, if you can get it there. We're currently out of stock because they all sold out, but we are printing more. I don't know when this is going out, but hopefully there will be more back on shelves and in stores. And my YouTube is youtube.com/Hazel. I'm the Hazel Hayes on everything else. That's it, really.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for making time, and congratulations on everything, your friendship, the book, a new secret project, all of it. I'm very excited for you guys.
Her secret project is so amazing, and I can't wait until it's out and everybody can experience it. It will be great.
Thank you.
Yay! All right, we'll see you guys next time in another episode of Not Too Deep. Goodbye.
Okay.
Too deep, too deep, too deep, not too deep with Grace Helbig.
Not Too Deep is a production of Grace Helbig Incorporated, producer Melissa D. Montz, edited by Shireen Lani Yunus, post-production sound by Chris Henry, and an extra special thanks to Flula for the theme music.